I think the big thing is obviously with signing day is, I feel like our football family got a great deal stronger today through our hard work in recruiting. Philosophies help change programs, as do systems, but what really moves the needle are people, and we can't stress the importance of getting the right people in here to help us put this foundation together for us to have the success we want to have. I couldn't be more thrilled with the type of kids that we've recruited with a premium on being smart, tough, and reliable. Those were the three characteristics that our staff wanted to evaluate these guys with. Our staff, their wives and families did a tremendous job for us recruiting. This is, all hands on deck when it comes to recruiting. Our players, which serve as our best advocates, our administration, everybody played a hand in helping us put this class together, and I can't thank all the people, the professors that helped, spent time with these recruits on campus for the job they did. It's truly a national class, and anyone that knows me knows that if we're going to recruit here at the University of Maryland, it'll start right here in the DMV, and that won't change. But what we've shown is that we have the ability to recruit nationally and go wherever we need to go to get players to help us make this program great. We got 4 guys right here from the DMV that have signed already. I think we've got 7 guys from down in Florida, a couple from Texas, some from New Jersey, and then 11 different states kind of make up this class. And to me, it shows the power of what the University of Maryland is about. We've got some highly talented, skilled position guys, but if you look at this class as a whole, the premium for us was getting better in the trenches on the O-line and D-line. And we obviously still have some scholarships left, and we're going to continue to try to build both offensive line and the defensive line. But we feel really good about the kids that we've been able to bring in, and that was a huge need for us, especially with depth. I'm excited about competition. This program is going to be all about competition, and the way you get better is when you create competition at every position. And again, we've been able to add some really good players to a foundation of good players we have coming back. And with that, that's where my excitement starts. And again, this is the type of class that we expect to be able to recruit here to Maryland year in and year out. And hopefully, again, we're able to show, our fans and all the people that love the Terps that we're moving in the right direction. With that, I'll open it up to some questions. All right, thank you.
Coach, 7 players from Florida. What do you attribute the success to getting 7 talented kids out of the Sunshine State?
Well, I think the big thing is, obviously we go where we have familiarity, and I've spent a lot of time in the SEC. I've recruited Florida for about as long as I've recruited the DMV. We've got coaches on our staff, Brian Williams, who hails from the Miami area, Mike Miller from the Palm Beach area. So we've got guys that have some familiar ties down there. And again, I thought our staff as a group did a tremendous job of, whether it was co-recruiting with the position coach and the recruiting coach, of trying to meet the needs. But, if you look at the group of guys we signed, I think we got like 13 state champions in this group. And to me, when guys have the ability and love to win, I think it becomes contagious, and that's kind of what we went after. Guys that had the ability to be smart, tough, and reliable, but also had some winning pedigree.
Rakim Jarrett was obviously a big one for you guys today. How did that process look on your end, and what was the staff's reaction when he made that decision?
Rakim has made the recruiting process very unique. He's a guy that I've known him since 8th grade, and he's kind of been really consistent with who he is as a person. But one of the unique things about him, and unless you know his story, you wouldn't understand, but he was a kid that in the 8th grade had a chance to go to some perennial, really powerful high schools here in the area, and he chose to go to St. John's before they became the St. John's that they are now. And so what that showed me was that here's a guy that believes in himself, that has some natural leadership abilities, the type of guys that we want to build our program with. And so his process was all over the place from our standpoint, because you didn't have information. Even the way he signed and committed today, we had no idea he was signing today. We had no idea that he was even coming to us, and then all of a sudden, he puts out a tweet that says committed. and we're like, what is this? And so really unique, but nothing happens by accident. And I think our staff as a whole collectively did a really good job of being consistent with him, giving him enough space, showing him the things that Maryland could do for his program. He's a kid that grew up watching and rooting for Stephon Diggs, and I think that, the effect of seeing what Stephon was able to do here played heavily in it. But again, he's another one of these local guys, and the challenge is that we've got really good players in this area. We've got 3 of the top high schools in the country located right here, and if a guy like Rakim Jarrett thinks Maryland is good enough to help him develop him on and off the field, the challenge is for other guys to believe the same, and I think it shows the type of character that Rakim has.
Coach, have you had a chance to talk to Rakim, and has he expressed to you what it was maybe that put Maryland above the rest of the schools he was considering?
Yeah, we've talked to Rakim quite a bit over the last year, but I think the big thing for him is he's a kid that loves challenges. He really enjoys doing things and building. I mean, again, you used the example of him going to St. John's over some other local schools that have had great success. It kind of talks a lot about the character, and I think it's the epitome of what this area represents, kind of a, hard-working, blue-collar area that, he's not a follower by any means, and so you win with guys like him.
Just touching on the effect of signing a 5-star, does that resonate more? You talk about it being a national program. When you do sign a 5-star, this is Maryland's first 5-star since Damian Prince. Does that resonate more in recruiting circles than anything else? I know you said that getting the defensive line is important for this team, but as far as the program in the future, how important is it signing a 5-star player?
The stars for us don't matter, but I think it goes along the lines that peer pressure still runs recruiting. And when players that respect Rakim Jarrett as a football player see him sign and come to a place like Maryland, I think it opens up eyes and doors that Maryland could possibly be the type of program that has the ability to develop you. We've had back-to-back first-round draft picks here, from Darnell Savage a year ago to 2 years ago, DJ Moore. And so there's no doubt in my mind that when you sign a guy like Rakim Jarrett, very similar to when we signed Stephon Diggs, very similar to when we signed Vernon Davis back in the day, it opens up some eyes that we hope to maybe benefit from, because if a guy like him thinks our program is good enough, people that respect who he is as a player, it maybe opens up some of their eyes as well.
Coach, you touched on this a little bit, but, when you're talking to a guy like Jarrett that, is committed to, LSU, that's, competing in a national championship and, didn't have Maryland in his top 10 initially, what is your kind of pitch to him, and how do you, what was your approach in trying to get him on board with Maryland?
Well, I think it starts with people. This is still a people-driven business, and when you go out and recruit, you sell who you are. I think when you look at the investment that's been made in facilities around here, when you look at the type of coaching staff that we've brought here to Maryland, these all play a major, major factor. When you talk about building resumes both on and off the field, because of our location, being in one of the best cities in the world, one of the most powerful cities in the world, these are all things that we sell. And fortunately for us, we recruited smart, tough, and reliable players that understand what it's all about. We've got a great academic institution that really supports our players. And, what is it not to like about Maryland?
You mentioned the O-line, D-line, abundance of guys. How good do you feel about the opportunities for them to immediately help that position group, especially with the experience you have with the JUCO guys?
Well, I think the big thing is obviously when you sign high school guys, especially on the O-line, it takes a little more time there, and that's why you see us with a few more junior college prospects on both sides of the line. And when you look at the junior college O-linemen, these are guys that obviously we're bringing in to have the opportunity to compete. One of the things that opens up doors is when you have opportunities, and obviously the thing we're going to always do here is try to create the competition to where we're going to recruit the best players we can possibly bring in, and every year guys have to compete at a high level to maintain their role with the team. So bringing in the junior college players on both sides maybe expedites the development stage a little quicker because they've got a couple of years experience. But I think the biggest factor for us will be the fact that I think 8 of the signees will be mid-year enrollees, whether they're high school or junior college. And to me, that's the part that I'm really excited about, because these guys will be here for spring practice, for our winter workouts, and all the culture building things that we need. And that more than anything helps in the development of players. I mean, the recruiting cycle, and from the day I got here, the 2021 class is kind of the one that we've had to, we've really put a lot of emphasis on, because that gives us 2 years of a recruiting cycle to where these kids know who we are, the stability of the program with, the same head coach, the same assistant coaches for the most part. That's what kids are looking for. The last few years, we've had 3 head coaches in 5 years, and we all have different recruiting philosophies, different structures, and different, systems that we operate. And so now the big thing is the stability is here now, and we've got 2 years of recruiting guys, and those relationships are the thing that gets you the players more than wins and losses, in my opinion. Now, obviously, wins help, but the relationship is the big piece.
What stood out with the guys at Independence U and Hutchinson? And have you ever seen them on the Netflix show Last Chance U?
I have not watched Last Chance U, at least this year I haven't. The thing that stood out are the characteristics we look for, in terms of height, speed, size, and then the characteristics we look for by position when we evaluate them. And, obviously all the guys from Independence, all the guys from Hutchinson checked all the boxes for us. They're older players, a couple of the guys there have gone off on Mormon missions, and so they come back and they're a little older player, which gives us a little more maturity at the position. Obviously up front on the O-line and D-line, the help that they bring, the fact that they're a few years older than a high school player, usually that maturity helps you, especially up front.
Two parts to this, Mike. One, just who are those 8 early enrollees? And then also,
You're going to test me on that, huh?
it's a trivia question, Becky. Okay. Well, the other part here was you were talking about how you were building towards that 2021 class. Was there a different approach that you took to this group, and kind of what was your satisfaction with it throughout the cycle and the patience required to kind of get to where you wanted to get to?
I mean, we don't take necessarily a different approach. I think when I talk about targeting the 2021 class, it's getting in on them early, getting them here to games, getting them on campus. The more often guys get on campus, the better chance you have to recruit them and to come here. Obviously, with this class, we've had 1 year. The 2021 class will have 2 years of doing that, which really gives them a good idea of who we are as a program and what our values and principles are. So you don't change your philosophy. I mean, we have some really great, unique things about the University of Maryland that we sell. And so to me, the more you can do it, the longer you can do it, the more the messaging remains consistent, the easier the close is for us. And as far as the 8, and early enrollees, Dustin, you'll take care of them, right?
In terms of, I think this is the first year in a while that a quarterback has not been signed. Is that an indication? Yet. Okay. Yeah. Is that an indication that, I mean, obviously you're still looking for that. Is it going to be through high school players or graduate transfers? Or?
A little bit of both. I mean, we're going to try to find the best players we can possibly find, whether it's quarterback, D-line, O-line. We still have some work to do in recruiting. Again, with the transfer portal, the grad transfers, opportunities are there. We've got another month after this signing date to kind of, go out and see what's out there. But we're not going to be afraid to go recruit every position we possibly can to make us a better team overall. Well, one thing I learned in this business is good players like to play with good players. And so, having guys like Rakim Jarrett and, Day McDougal, Nick DeGennaro, who is one of my favorites of this class, we signed 3 really good receivers that we feel will improve that room.
Mike, earlier you said smart, tough, and reliable were the main characteristics you were looking for in this class. And this is now the foundation of your second recruiting class under your belt so far.
Really,
here.
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Are those same characteristics, smart, tough, and reliable, something that you are hoping last year's true freshmen and last year's redshirt freshmen, for that matter, are going to bring to the roster when we're looking at who's playing in 2020?
Those are paramount to play and be a contributor for us. Smart players do things the right way on the field. Tough players mentally and physically, you're always going to win with them. And then reliable. If you look at the way we played this year, I would dare to say we weren't a team that consistently played smart, tough, and reliable. But to me, when we go out and recruit, we put a premium on checking those 3 boxes with the guys we bring in. And then with our current team, just continuing to reinforce it with the culture that we're creating and that we're developing so that we can be more consistent playing smart, tough, and reliable.
It seemed like with a lot of the early commits in this class, like especially Ruben Hippolyte, a lot of them were really, on Twitter and social media getting, other kids excited about committing to Maryland and trying to, kind of build up hype and get more kids to commit. How helpful is that, for you and your staff in the recruiting process?
It takes everybody and to finish the process. And as I said, peer pressure still runs recruiting. And the more our commitments and the guys that really believe in the vision that we've set for the program sell it, I still believe our players are the best advocates we have, and our players did a tremendous job in this recruiting cycle when kids were on campus, really doing a good job of ensuring that players that what we say we do as coaches and as a program, that we actually do it. And to me, I think third-party validation is critical. And, our players have done a tremendous job along, again, with our coaches, the wives, everybody selling the program, and it's really helped us.
Coach, you mentioned this being a national class. You went to California to get Devin King. You went to Detroit to get Penny Boone. These are areas that Maryland just doesn't usually get players from. So is there anything different you have to do in an area where you're not accustomed to going for talent?
No, I think the big thing is the relationship piece. When you look at our staff, we have guys that have recruited all of these areas. Corey Robinson has been up in the Detroit metro area along with Scotty Montgomery. A bunch of us, Joker Phillips, Scotty Montgomery, Bryant Williams, have recruited that South Florida area. Texas, John Reagan spent a great deal of his career in the state of Texas. So we have really strong, meaningful relationships in these areas, and we've been able to nurture them, keep them, and it's really helped us to maybe expand our net until, if we can get to where we control the DMV, we probably don't have to go out as far, but we're a national brand, and if these local guys don't think our program's good enough, we'll go find them somewhere else. I'm hoping, again, they understand that you can come to Maryland and earn a strong degree and have opportunities to go on to play at the next level. We've had a ton of players that have done it, and I'm hoping that, we can continue to maybe take some ownership here in the DMV and get some of these top players to believe in the vision that we've set. And I think we can really become the program we all want us to be.
Coach, a little bit more about Penny Boone, the kid out of Detroit, the 4-star running back, recruiting in the teeth of Big Ten country. Even though you guys have been in the league 5 years, you're still kind of the new kids in town. How huge is it to get a kid going up against the other Big Ten schools recruiting-wise?
Yeah, with Penny, as I said, he's the Detroit Metro Player of the Year, big, strong, physical runner that has the ability to play in space. He catches the ball well, plays with a little chip on his shoulder, really physical without the football. And so, to be able to go into Detroit and get a guy like Penny Boone, I think will enable us to go back there in years to come, because he's a guy like how Rakim Jarrett is here, how Day McDougal is in South Florida, that other guys know about, and all of a sudden he's going to a place like Maryland and having great success, and that's how you open the door. So it's great to get a guy like Penny Boone signed up. Thank you.